there, it's a subjective call. OK, it's not a clear and obvious foul, but it's a foul. It's a foul. The referee's got to go to the screens here. We keep saying it. I'm getting bored of talking about VAR now. It's a foul. It's a foul. Simple as that.
I think, Sav, the guys, I mean, when we played, anywhere else, we always say this, anywhere else on the pitch, that's a foul. But because it's in the box, it's not given as a foul. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I'm sure as Palace supporters, players, managers, staff, etc., they'll be livid with this decision. Because, again, if you call that outside the box. Go on, Robbie.
Rio, what I was going to say is, I'll ask Peter this, it's a tackle from behind. So he's gone through the player to win the ball. Peter, anywhere on the pitch, that is a foul. It's a tackle from behind. They're both running towards the goal. He's gone through the back of him, his leg and the ball. It's a foul, Pete. Simple. No excuse. Foul.
Yeah, you can argue that. I'm not disagreeing with you.
No, it's a foul, Pete.
He has gone through the back of him. He has caught his leg. He's caught the ball as well. And that's what Graham Scott's seen. He's seen him catching the ball. He hasn't seen what we've seen here. Now, layer on top of that, is that a clear and obvious foul? I don't think it is,
yes.
But you know that's my view.
Peter.
Do I think
it's a foul?
Do I think it's a foul? Do I think it's a foul? Yes, I do think it's a foul. However, if you layer on VAR there, it's got to be clear and obvious. And for me, it's not a clear and obvious foul, but it could be a foul.
Slight difference of opinion, I think.
Peter, if somebody tackles you from behind,
it's a foul.
If somebody tackles you from behind, if that was on the halfway line, Peter, if that was on the halfway line, Real's marking a centre forward, the ball gets played to the centre forward, he goes through the back of the player, kicks the ball and the player at the same time. Is that a foul on the halfway line? Robbie,
the difference is I'd have got the ball, not the man.
Yes, it is a foul on the halfway line, but it's a foul in the penalty area as well, Rob.
There's a foul. Well, there we go. Owen, you're always the voice of reason. What do you think? It's two issues here. Number one, that it wasn't given, which will be frustrating, but also the fact that they've already decided they're not going to go to the pitchside monitor as often as they should. Why not just make each decision based on that particular incident?
Well, there's a few issues with this. First of all, it is a clear and obvious foul. Second of all, if they were to give a penalty in the first decision, they wouldn't have overturned it. I think you do have to go to the monitor. Second of all, I think if you look at it, Lindelof's trying to play the ball, but Zaha does a step over while Lindelof's trying to reach for the ball. Yeah. When he does that step over and he's just over top of the ball, Lindelof basically takes him out. And look, Zaha falls over instantly. Yeah. You know, it's not a dive, he's just down. The point is, Victor thinks he's going to play the ball, and Zaha's trying to do a step over, and they come together at the same time. That stops Wilf going further forward and continuing the action. I think it's clear and obvious. I don't know how they missed it. And if you can't see it, go to the monitor. And I think it just makes it a lot easier. But look, you know, we've had issues with VAR. We're still learning. But I think United sometimes, you know, they got a bit of luck today. And the offside was marginal as well. But I think VAR, they got that one wrong.
We'll talk about the offside in just a couple of moments. But Roy Hodgson is waiting to speak to Des. Let's hear this right away. Roy with Des. Let's get his thoughts.
Well, I want to talk about the game, but I think I want to talk about the issues as well, because there's some very difficult decisions for you to take tonight.
Yes, I think the most difficult thing to take is to have played so well and once again lost the game. Because I thought if I ignored up to that point, I thought we played really well. I thought that if anything, you know, we could so easily have been leading in the game, and to once again find ourselves on the wrong end of a result after a performance like that against a team of Man United's quality is very, very hard to take, especially as you rightly say, there were a couple of issues that really could so easily have gone our way but didn't.
You're very supportive of referees, I know, but the penalty call, what did you make of it?
Well, referees these days, you never see them because they're miles away, aren't they? I thought that the referee on the field could easily have given the penalty. He didn't, but then the people in the office somewhere in Hounslow, they decided it against that one as well. And apparently the other one is one of those hair-fine decisions which one finds hard to take, especially because one is used really from football without VAR, that when a ball is crossed along the 6-yard line and someone slides into the back post and scores, I don't remember those goals ever being ruled out for offside, but now we have to come to terms with that new reality that you're celebrating, you think you've scored a good goal, one that we, you know, have tried so hard to score that type of goal, and then you have it taken away from you by some hair-fine decision. But the important thing for me tonight was that we played so well. That's good after a performance on Saturday or Sunday that I wasn't so pleased with. But it's tough for the players. I feel really sorry for them tonight, because if there was ever a game where I should be standing here congratulating them on A, the performance, and B, the result, tonight was the night.
I hate going back to it, but with such a tight calibration for something like offside, then you have a penalty call, a subjective penalty call. Wouldn't it be sensible for the referee to go and watch it himself on the screen and give himself a second chance?
Maybe. I must say that I'm still finding it very hard to come to terms with it all. I think that it's not helping my feeling either during the game or after the game, having to stand here and talk about these type of things. I'm bitterly disappointed tonight to see the team do as well as it's done, and once again add another defeat to a growing list of defeats, because that was something we really didn't deserve, and having to come to terms with something that you really don't deserve is always very, very difficult.
You've got support in the boardroom, because the chairman, Steve Parish, tweeted out during the game that he asked, is VAR broken?
Yeah, well, VAR's there, and you know, I'm not going to join that growing list of people who after every game wants to talk about whether it was right or whether it was wrong. Of course, we feel a bit hard done by at the moment with regard to VAR decisions. But the important thing for me tonight, we're playing a top team here, a team that's come here with an incredible string of results behind them. And like Southampton at Man United in the previous game, I thought that we showed we were more than a match for them in every department, quite frankly, except that, you know, the one or two chances that came their way, they put them away. Whereas of the 13 or 14 opportunities we had, we weren't able to put them away, and when we did, it was ruled out for a marginal offside.
Well done tonight, Roy. Thank you.
Thanks.
I think we all feel for Roy Hodgson this evening to come into this game against Manchester United. 5 defeats on the bounce coming into this, and then to play that well and come away with nothing, in part, not entirely, but in part because of some decisions, is obviously difficult to take. Look, Peter, the other incident we do need to talk about is this offside. Now, we know, because of the frame rates of the television cameras, that the offside, when it is that marginal, there has to be some allowance for error because of the frame rate, exactly when the ball was touched by the player that played the ball. Yet we don't allow for that. We don't allow for any clear and obvious. We don't allow for a margin of error. We say it's either on or off. Is that something that needs to change as well going forwards?
So you're quite right. So that offside is a factual. You're either onside or you're offside. What the lawmakers haven't allowed is this margin of error in the calibration of the TV cameras on any given game. I think the TV cameras used tonight were 50 frames per second. Well, if you had something to run at 100 frames per second, you get a better definition. So I do think there is a way forward in terms of looking for a margin of error so that the offside becomes clear and obvious again. So you build in that margin of error to indicate that the player is offside. When VAR was first thought of, these marginal decisions were not in the lawmakers' minds. The lawmakers were looking to get the hand of God out of the game. They were looking for clear and obvious errors from the match decision makers, not these marginal calls that we see, week in, week out with offside. So the lawmakers will be looking at this, as they are at the moment, in terms of building in that margin of error in order to make sure that we don't have a toenail offside and a goal disallowed.
It needs to happen. I mean, you could see on one of the angles there, the ball was blurred because it's moving and the camera can't keep up with it. And in cricket, they use cameras that are hundreds of frames a second, not 50.
But this is why, I'll be honest, I'll go back to when VAR was first mentioned and first introduced. I was one of the people that was saying, listen, leave it to human error, leave it to, that creates a debate that we'd have around tables like this or in pubs, in homes, in front rooms across the world, and let that human error stay a part of the game, because that was a part that we all loved. Sometimes you was on the wrong end of it, but sometimes you wasn't. Unless it's absolutely 100%, then why have VAR? Unless it's absolutely concrete, why have it? Because there's still going to be...
have it, but allow the margin for error.
Yeah, but it's still not going to be concrete. It's still like, you still have to, a human's eyes have to go over it and say, actually, I believe it's this way or that way. Unless it's completely a black and white, why have it? I don't understand. It's just... I get why they want it, but it's just... The human error for me was part of the game. It was part of it. A referee was a part of the game. Now, The referees have no identity now. The referee is behind the screen, somewhere else, in a different location.
The good news is, we're on to 11:30. Robbie's clearly had lots of coffee this evening, so he's going to be just fine when we're still in there almost at midnight. Look, there's one other game that I want to go to. Robbie, you were there for a very short amount of time, but I know that we all think they're a brilliantly run club, Brighton.